The Green Revolution has a shadow. As humanity races toward a net-zero future, our insatiable hunger for electric vehicle batteries and renewable infrastructure is driving a desperate scarcity of cobalt, nickel, and copper. To save the air above, we are preparing to invade the abyss below. We are standing on the precipice of the largest mining operation in human history, posing a terrifying question. Far below the sunlit surface, in a realm of intense pressure and silence, lies the abyss, thousands of meters beneath the surface, effectively beyond the reach of sunlight and human oversight. There lies a vast resource that industry giants claim is just sitting there, waiting to be picked up. They call it a harvest. Marine biologists call it an extinction event. The target is the Clarion-Clipperton Zone, a fracture zone in the Pacific that holds more metal than all land reserves combined. But the seabed is not dead rock. It is a library of life written over millions of years, and we are about to burn it for fuel. Now, let's dive into the data and uncover the reality hidden in the deep. Spanning 3,000 miles between Hawaii and Mexico, the Clarion-Clipperton Zone is an abyssal plain, sitting under crushing pressures at depths of 4 to 6 kilometers. It is a world of eternal night, where temperatures hover just above freezing. To the untrained eye, scanning the bottom via low-resolution sonar, it appears to be a wasteland of endless, monotonous mud energetics. This apparent emptiness is the cornerstone of the mining argument. If the abyss is merely a desert, scattered across this sediment are polymetallic nodules, black, potato-sized concretions rich in manganese, nickel, cobalt, and copper. They sit loosely on the seabed, half-buried, unattached to the substrate below. To extract them, mining contractors have developed massive hydraulic collectors. Imagine a combine harvester the size of a house, weighing heavily on the softest sediment on Earth. The logic seems deceptively simple. These machines traverse the seabed, sucking up the top 10 to 15 centimeters of sediment along with the nodules. The valuable ore is separated inside the machine or on a surface vessel, and the residual mud is ejected. But in the deep sea, nothing is simple. We are introducing industrial violence to an ecosystem defined by profound stillness. In this environment, currents are often negligible. Sediment that settles here has drifted down, particle by particle, over millennia. The industry calls this a harvest, involving images of agricultural renewal. But a harvest implies a cycle. This is a liquidation. The collectors do not just pick up rocks. They remove the only hard substrate available in a world of soft ooze. They are removing the habitat itself. The disconnect between the industrial ambition and the biological reality is staggering. We are designing machines to devour thousands of square kilometers of the seafloor annually, based on the presumption that we are disturbing nothing but dirt. The data, however, tells a different story. When we send ROVs down to inspect these dead rocks closer, the resolution sharpens. The emptiness resolves into complexity. we realize that the nodules are not just mineral deposits waiting for extraction. They are the ancient, architectural foundation of a universe we are only just beginning to name. It feels surprisingly light, porous, almost like charcoal. But if you were to slice it open, you would see concentric rings. Layer upon layer of metal precipitated from seawater, telling a story that predates the human species by epochs. These are not rocks in the geological sense. They are pearls of the abyss. A nodule grows at a rate that defies human comprehension, often just a few millimeters every million years. At its center, the nucleus might be a fragment of basalt, a fossilized radiolarian, or even the tooth of a shark that swam the ocean 10 million years ago. To hold one of these nodules is to hold physical time, and in the deep ocean, time is the most precious resource of all. This extreme age is what makes the Clarion-Clipperton Zone an evolutionary anomaly. In the terrestrial world, ecosystems are defined by rapid turnover. Forests burn and regrow. Grasslands shift with the seasons. But here, stability is absolute. An infinite expanse of black water, undisturbed by the passage of time. Because the environment has been stable for millions of years, life here has not evolved to race. It has evolved to endure, and this is where the industrial's assessment of empty mud collapses under the weight of biological reality. The mud is death for a filter feeder. The sediment of the abyssal plain is soft, deep, and suffocating. If a sponge or a coral tries to settle directly on the mud, it sinks. Once it sinks, its delicate filtration pores clog, and it starves. To survive here, life needs a foundation. It needs an anchor. The nodules are the only solid ground in a universe of fluid. This creates a habitat dependency known as the hard substrate limitation. The nodules are not just sitting on the ecosystem. They are the ecosystem's infrastructure. They function exactly like trees in a rainforest or reefs in shallow water. Remove the nodules, and you do not just remove the metal. You clear-cut the forest and dynamite the reef simultaneously. When we zoom in with high-definition cameras, we see that nearly every nodule hosts a microcosm. We find stalked glass sponges, ethereal structures made of silica, that use the nodule as a base to grow upward, reaching into the clearer water current to feed. These sponges, in turn, become secondary habitats. Brittle stars coil around their stems. But the most profound discovery, the one that shattered the dead zone myth, came in 2016 with the identification of a new species of octopod, nicknamed Casper. This ghost-like creature changed everything. We observed these small, pale octopods brooding their eggs at depths of 4,000 meters. But they weren't laying their eggs in the mud. They were cementing their clutch specifically to the stones. effect of dead sponges attached to manganese nodules. This is a precise evolutionary lock-and-key mechanism. The octopus needs the sponge needs the nodule, and the process is agonizingly slow. If you remove the nodules, you remove the breeding ground. You effectively sterilize the apex predator of this environment. We are also finding giants here, the Xenophyophores. These are single-celled organisms, protozoans, that grow to the size of a grapefruit. They are fragile, complex, and incredibly abundant in the nodule fields. They concentrate heavy metals in their bodies and provide shelter for isopods and nematodes. They are the living buildings of the abyss, and they are exquisitely sensitive to physical disturbance. We are learning that biodiversity in the Clarion-Clipperton Zone is actually higher than in many shallow water ecosystems. But it is a specific kind of biodiversity. It is hyper-specialized. These creatures are not generalists that can just move next door. They have adapted over millions of years to a specific flow regime, a specific sediment consistency, and a specific distribution of hard nodules. There is no next door for them. Mining proponents suggest we can create protected zones, assuming the ecosystem will recolonize the mined areas. But recolonization requires a source population and a suitable habitat. But if you remove the nodules, the habitat is gone forever. Manganese nodules do not grow back on human timescales. We have seen the evidence of this permanence. In 1989, scientists conducted a disturbance experiment called Discall. When they returned nearly 30 years later, the plow tracks looked as fresh as the day they were made. The microbial community had not recovered. The sponges had not returned. The scar was not healing. We are proposing to inflict a wound that the ocean effectively cannot heal. The machine is only the epicenter of the disaster. While the harvester destroys the seabed directly, the true footprint comes in the form of the sediment plume. We are about to unleash a dust storm in a world that has never known wind. As the collector vehicle processes the seabed, the mud, tons of it every hour, is ejected out the bag. This is not sand that settles quickly. This is abyssal clay. The particles are microscopic, electrostatically charged. In the terrestrial world, dust settles. In the deep ocean, the physics are different. The water is cold and dense. These fine particles can drift on even the faintest currents, traveling tens or hundreds of kilometers away. The scale of the gray stain is difficult to comprehend. It now covers an area the size of a major U.S. state. This creates a zone of influence that vastly exceeds the actual mining claim. For the residents of the deep, this is atmospheric terraforming. The creatures of the abyss have evolved in a hyper-oligotrophic environment, essentially water that is crystal clear. They are not built for turbidity. They have no evolutionary defense against mud. Consider the filter feeders, the corals, the sponges. When the water is saturated with clay, their feeding mechanisms jam. But the horror extends vertically. The mining operation also discharges wastewater into the midwater column. It blinds the ocean's internet. The plume acts like a blackout curtain. The suspended sediment absorbs and scatters light. A predator cannot see its prey. A mate cannot see the signal. We are effectively jamming the communication frequency of an entire biosphere. We are turning the water chemistry itself into a weapon against the life adapted to it. The tragedy is the mismatch of scales. The mining industry operates on the scale of industrial efficiency. We are introducing chaos to a system defined by stability. When you poison the water in the deep, the poison travels. We are racing against our own shadow. The drive for deep-sea mining is fueled by a genuine crisis, the urgent need to decarbonize our economies. But this is a false dichotomy. Innovation is already outpacing extraction. Battery technologies are evolving rapidly. We are on the verge of destroying a multi-million-year-old ecosystem to build technology that may be obsolete in a decade. The Clarion-Clipperton Zone challenges our perception of value. Every time we bring a sample up from the deep, we find potential cures, antibiotics, cancer treatments. We are burning the library to stay warm, It is the one place on Earth where humanity has not yet left a permanent scar. The choice is not between the climate and the ocean. The choice is between short-term extraction and long-term wisdom. When we look at the manganese nodule, we must stop seeing it as a battery component. We must learn to see it as a monument. The deep sea is not a monster to be feared, nor a treasure chest to be looted. It is the planetary constant. It is the stabilizer. It is not empty. It is full. It is non-dead. It is weighty. The antidote to our fear is not conquest. It is restraint. We have mapped the surface of Mars better than our own ocean floor, yet we are ready to strip mine it. Let this be the moment we choose away over exploitation. The deep ocean does not need us, but we desperately need the deep ocean.